Okay. Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitamscha Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurakam Garaganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandabananam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyasishvara Shridaram Vanshakopatarubyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevaja Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur, and this is with the translation by Sarva Bhavana Das. And now we're reading in Antya-khanda, Chapter 2, Sri Chaitanya arrives in Jagannath Puri. All victory to the moon-like Sri Gauranga, the life and soul of all living entities. He is fear personified to the evildoers and the protector of the righteous. All glory to the Lord and Master of Sri Ananta Sesha, Sri Rama Devi, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is the ocean of compassion, the friend of the fallen and wretched, and the best amongst the renounced sannyasis. All glory to the Lord, along with his pure devotees. I simply pray that he may shower his mercy upon me so that I may eternally repose my mind at his lotus feet. The Supreme Lord Sri Gaurasundar exhibited wonderful pastimes in the house of Sri Advaitacharya in Sri Shantipur, thus revealing the unlimited mystique and charisma of his own transcendental personality. He spent the night in Krishna Katha with his Vaishnav devotees, experiencing great bliss and joy. In the morning, after completing his daily morning spiritual duties, he sat surrounded by his disciples who had been unaware of the passing of the night. Sri Chaitanya said, I am going to Sri Nilachala Puri, but do not feel sad thinking that I am leaving you. I will drink the nectar of Sri Jagannath's moonlight beautiful face and return soon to be with you again. Return to your homes and engage in continuous kirtan. Every one of you are my very being, and you are my companions life after life. The devotees replied, My dear Lord, who has the power to go against your wishes? Still we wish to inform you that the times are bad, full of danger, and no one now dares to travel in that direction. There is growing enmity between the two kingdoms, Bengal and Utkala, and the borders are infested with bloodthirsty fighters. So we pray to you to rest here a while until the tension subsides. To this the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya replied, Let there be danger of any magnitude. I will certainly go. This I say to you. Sri Advaitacharya understood Sri Chaitanya's mind and knew no one could dissuade him from it. Palms joined, Sri Advaita began to speak. Who can dare to obstruct your path? All so-called impediments and dangers are simply your order carriers. No one possesses the power to stop you. You have resolved to travel to Nilachala, and so your journey will be a source of great joy, and you may leave at your own sweet will. Sri Chaitanya was pleased to hear the truth spoken so plainly by Sri Advaita, and feeling great satisfaction, chanted the holy name, Hari, Hari. Wasting no time, the Supreme Lord made an auspicious start to his journey, bidding his beloved ones farewell. As he walked toward Nilachala, his gait was that of a stalking, maddened lion. The devotees, feeling completely bereft, followed behind him, unable to halt their tears of separation. Some distance further, Sri Gaurasundar spoke softly to them with soothing words. Do not allow this pain to laden your hearts. I could never live without you. I am always with you. Chant the holy name, sitting in your homes while I am gone, and very soon I will return. The Supreme Lord then embraced all the Vaishnavas individually and bathed them with his cascading tears of love. After so comforting them with his divine sweetness, he headed south. The Vaishnavas, touched by his love, wept piteously in separation, falling repeatedly to the ground with stunned hearts. The scene appeared the same as when Krishna was being taken to Mathura from Vrindaban, and all the young cowherd damsels were drowning in a vast ocean of sorrow. The Vaishnavas were drowning. The Vaishnavas managed to contain their agony of separation from Sri Chaitanya in the same manner as the gopis who went on with their lives while tending their broken hearts. Being composed of pure spiritual goodness, Vishuddha Sattva, the transcendental emotions shown in the pastimes of Sri Krishna and his associates are non-different in spiritual quality from the emotions displayed in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya and his devotees. They are of the same spiritual status and purely transcendental. One should always remember that the matter of life and death is entirely in the hands of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. He decides if one should live even after consuming poison, and he decides if one should die even after drinking the nectar of immortality. On this journey to Nilachala, Sri Gaurasundar was accompanied by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Gadadhar Pandit, Sri Mukunda, Sri Govinda, Sri Jagannath Pandit, and Sri Brahmananda. So on this journey to Nilachala, Sri Gaurasundar was accompanied by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Gadadhar Pandit, Sri Mukunda, Sri Govinda, Sri Jagannath Pandit, and Sri Brahmananda. The Supreme Lord, wishing to test his followers, inquired, has anyone amongst you brought anything along for this journey? Tell me frankly. To this they replied, my dear Lord, without your permission, which of us would dare to bring anything? The Lord was greatly pleased at this reply, at their reply. The Lord now spoke, delineating the import of this seemingly simple question. He said, You have made me very happy by not bringing anything with you. Everyone is liable to enjoy only what is destined to him. Even if he is in the forest, that which is due to him through destiny will find him. If Providence wills that someone goes without food, then even if he is a prince, he will have to fast. The prince's larder may be filled with food, but if the Lord so wills it, he cannot eat. He may suddenly get into a quarrel with someone, and out of anger refuse to eat and remain sulking. He may also, without warning, be attacked by high fever, in which case there is no question of eating anything. This is all happening in truth by the Lord's sweet will. The entire universe is Krishna's storehouse, filled with grains and foodstuff. If the Lord so desires, we can get food anywhere and everywhere. The Supreme Lord, as Sri Gaurasundar, was personally instructing everyone on the absolute truth and the correct attitude towards Krishna. Those who accept his words with faith, taking them into their hearts, experience immense joy. The efforts of the soul, the jiva, will never bear fruit unless the Supreme Lord sanctions them. One may try very carefully to do anything, but the result of the endeavor depends entirely on the Lord's will. Teaching the devotees spiritual knowledge and discussing the entire way, Sri Gaurasundar's party arrived in the village of Atishara. A very advanced scholar and pure devotee, Sri Ananta Pandit, lived in this village. The Lord decided to sojourn in his residence. I am unable to describe the extent of his good fortune. Sri Ananta Pandit was an entirely magnanimous and saintly soul. The Lord's presence in his home made him so jubilant that he became oblivious to his external surroundings. Joyful that the Lord and Master of Vaikuntha had arrived in his own home as a guest, he happily busied himself to prepare fine foodstuffs for the Lord and his devotees. Sri Gaurasundar and his followers sat down and honored the cooked prasadam. In this way, the Lord was instructing everyone how to lead the ideal mendicant life of a sannyasi by subsisting upon alms. Throughout the night, the Lord made kirtan and spoke Krishna Katha, thus blessing Sri Ananta Pandit's home. Next morning, after blessing Ananta Pandit with his merciful glance, the Lord proceeded upon his journey with Krishna's name constantly vibrating from his lips. With Krishna's name constantly vibrating on his lips. When the villagers saw the Lord's compassionate, moon-like face, which was a soothing balm for all tribulations, they spontaneously began to repeat the Lord's holy name. The unbearable heat of material existence scorching their lives subsided as they continuously chanted the holy names of Krishna. Yogis steeped in long, arduous meditation find it practically impossible to attain darshan of the Lord's lotus feet within their hearts. Yet now, even ordinary persons could freely see the unlimited beauty of the Lord as he went upon his journey. The Lord followed the course of Janavi Ganga, feeling great exhilaration as he walked along her sacred banks. He soon arrived in Chhatrabhoga, where Ganga Devi divides herself into 100 streams, bestowing benediction and joy upon all. Also situated here is a famous bathing place known as Ambulinga Gata. Lord Shiva is present here in his submerged linga form known as Ambulinga in water. I will now narrate the history of how Lord Shiva received this appellation. Kindly pay attention. In the distant past, King Bhagirata worshipped Ganga Devi, calling for her appearance in this world, as her waters were the only means to return life to his ancestors. When Ganga Devi complied and started flowing upon the earth, Lord Shiva, feeling Ganga Devi's absence, started to pine for her association. Eventually, Lord Shiva came down to earth. In the course of searching for Ganga Devi, he arrived at Chhatrabhoga. Seeing her, Shiva became jubilant, and unable to bear any further pangs of separation, he entered her waters. Ganga Devi, upon seeing Lord Shiva, began to worship him with great devotion, offering him prayers with deep reverence. Lord Shiva knows the depth of Ganga Devi's devotion and attachment for the Lord, and Ganga Devi is aware of Lord Shiva's highly elevated position in Krishna Prema. By the touch of Ganga water, Lord Shiva himself became water and desired to remain thus submerged within her. Similarly, Ganga Devi was also happy for him to remain at that place, and thus she worshipped him there with humility. From that time, the place became famous as Ambulinga Ghat. The village of Chhatrabhoga is truly a very holy place of pilgrimage by the presence of Lord Shiva and Sri Ganga Devi. However, with the visit of Sri Gaurasundar, its transcendental significance and glories have increased unlimitedly since he has left the impressions of his lotus feet upon this hallowed ground. Lord Chaitanya became most ecstatic upon seeing Ambulinga and Ganga Devi's 100 streams. Chanting loudly Lord Hari's name, Sri Chaitanya embraced Nityananda, and they both fell swooning to the ground. Tumultuous chanting of the holy names from the assembled Vaishnavas rent the air. Thrilled with spiritual joy, everyone led by the Lord himself bathed in the sanctified waters of Ganga Devi at the Ambulinga Gata. Later, in detail, Vedavyas will compile all these descriptions. The Lord came out of the water and began to weep in uncontrollable divine exhilaration. As he changed into fresh, dry clothes, they quickly became soaked with his tears of ecstasy. In the form of the river, Ganga Devi was flowing in 100 streams, but also from the eyes of the Lord another 100 cascades of ecstatic tears had appeared. Seeing this extraordinary phenomenon, the devotees were so amazed that they could only exult in jubilation. The feudal landlord of that village was Ramachandra Khan. Although materialistic, he was also a pious man. Otherwise, how could he meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya, face to face? By the will of providence, Ramachandra was passing by, seated in his palanquin, when he saw the resplendent form of the Lord. He spontaneously felt awe and reverence for the Lord and immediately alighted from his palanquin. Falling like a stick, he prostrated himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord was still absorbed in Krishna Prem and oblivious to everything about him. He was crying tears of divine love profusely, heaving deep sighs and falling to the ground, rolling in the dust. He kept chanting, "O Jagannath, O Jagannath." Ramachandra Khan was extremely moved to see such an intense devotional mood. He thought, there seems to be no way to stop this piteous crying for the Lord, and he himself broke out into tears. Who in the three worlds could remain impassive and see these tearful entities? Even a stone-hearted person would melt. The Lord calmed himself and inquired from Ramachandra, "Who are you?" Offering prostrated obeisances at the Lord's feet, he spoke with folded hands. "O Lord, I am the servant of your servants." However, the local people who had gathered there spoke up, informing the Lord, "Our Lord, he is the landlord of the entire southern provinces." Gaurasundar said, "It is heartening to know that you are a high-ranking administrator. Kindly tell us how we may proceed to Nilachala tomorrow." As the Lord was speaking about Nilachala, he was once again overcome by divine ecstasy. Crying out Jagannath's name, he began to weep profusely and again fell to the ground swooning. Ramachandra spoke in a concerned voice, "O Lord, whatever you order, I consider my prime duty to fulfill. The roads are very dangerous during these times of enmity. Traveling between the two countries has become practically impossible. The inimical kings have placed camouflage spears hidden in the ground all along the borderland. And if the soldiers find even an innocent traveler in these sensitive areas, they capture, torture, and murder them, thinking them an enemy spy. The only safe way I can arrange is to send you in secret. I am placing myself in great danger, but I do not care for this danger. I will certainly carry out your bidding. My Lord, if you will kindly accept me as your servitor, then I pray that you and your associates will take food in my house. I will use everything I possess, money, influence, men, to bring you across the border tonight. The Lord was pleased with Ramachandra and blessed him with his merciful glance. By that one glance, Ramachandra was purified of all material attachment. The Lord proceeded to his residence. By the visit of the Lord, Ramachandra's house became sanctified, and everyone in the house exalted, being immediately awarded with unlimited pious sukriti. The Brahman Ramachandra himself prepared the food with great devotion and deference. The Lord nowadays ate very frugally. He had no spare moments away from his deep ecstatic absorption within himself. He sat down to eat only for the satisfaction of his beloved devotees, for now his only real food was the spiritual mellows. Ever since he had embarked on the journey to Jagannath Puri, he had eaten very little. All the way the Lord had exhibited the mood of separation, imploring Lord Jagannath. Day or night, land or water, were just fading images of no consequence to him. He was constantly steeped in meditation upon himself, tasting the bliss of love of Krishna. The devotees were always by his side, keeping watch over him and protecting him from any external harm. The different ecstatic moods exhibited by the Lord are impossible for an ordinary mortal to describe. The different ecstatic moods exhibited by the Lord are impossible for an ordinary mortal to describe. The ecstatic manifestations of his spiritual trance are so sublime and esoteric that none other than Srila Vyasadeva is able to describe them. Who can understand the character of the Supreme Lord? Who can predict how Krishna will act next? Lord Nityananda knows fully well the object of Lord Chaitanya's love, that Lord for whom he pines so imploringly. The Lord of Vaikuntha, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, is always engrossed in the transcendental exchange of mellows, where he himself is the object of love. Yet he forgets himself as the main actor in these pastimes. On one hand, he himself is the main. On one hand, he thinks of himself as Sri Jagannath, and on the other, he yearns for union with Sri Jagannath, in this way bringing the devotees to his side with concern for him. How can the living entities realize the Supreme Lord unless he himself does not shower them with his causeless mercy? Lord sat with Nityananda Prabhu and the other devotees who were so dear to him. He barely took a morsel of food and got up with a thunderous roar. With the after-lunch ablutions finished, he kept on asking, how far is Jagannath Puri? How far is Jagannath Swami? Mukunda quickly started to sing, and the Lord began to dance with graceful postures. The fortunate and pious residents of Chhatrabhoga had a rare treat. They saw the Supreme Lord, the hero of Vaikuntha, dance before their very eyes. As he danced one after another of the ecstatic symptoms began to manifest upon his person in continuous waves whose dimensions were beyond comprehension: crying, shivering, roaring, horripilation, profuse perspiration, and shivering, and becoming stunned like a statue. As he danced one after another of the ecstatic symptoms began to manifest upon his person in continuous waves whose dimensions were beyond comprehension: crying, shivering, roaring, horripilation, profuse perspiration, and becoming stunned like a statue. Who could understand the many subtle spiritual transformations that appeared in the Lord, as he spun round and round. Tears gushed out of his eyes like the rushing currents of the Ganga during the monsoon, drenching everyone. The incarnation of love of Krishna in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya has descended. Who else? The incarnation of love of Krishna in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya has descended. Who else but Sri Chaitanya has the potency to exhibit such pastimes? Time passed, and deep into the night, the kirtan and dancing continued. When the night was almost at an end, the Lord calmed himself and sat down. Although it was almost dawn, the long hours seemed to have gone by in just a few moments. Everyone was liberated and delivered by the Lord's causeless mercy. Ramachandra Khan, waiting for this opportune moment, said, "My Lord, the boats are ready waiting for you." The Lord immediately got up and went to the riverbank. Amidst tumultuous chanting of the holy name, the Lord alighted from the boat and cast his blessed, compassionate glance upon everyone, bidding them all farewell. The boat then headed towards Jagannath Puri, as the Lord eagerly looked forward to reaching there, his own transcendental abode. Resting peacefully on the boat, Sri Gaurasundar asked Mukunda to sing. As the boat moved silently in the still night, Mukunda started a beautiful melody. The boatman was a simple and illiterate person and said, "This singing is very fearful. I will surely lose my life tonight." Resting peacefully on the boat, Sri Gaurasundar asked Mukunda to sing. As the boat moved silently in the still night, Mukunda started a beautiful melody. The boatman was a simple and illiterate person and said, "This singing is very fearful. I will surely lose my life tonight. On land, the tigers will maul us, and the water is infested with crocodiles. This part of the river is terrorized by bands of pirate dacoits, who, if they catch us, will forcibly take both our wealth and our lives. So please remain quiet until we reach Orissa." The devotees were put into consternation, but the Lord's absorption in spiritual malice continued uninterrupted. In a short while, the Lord sounded like thunder and said, "What do you fear? Who are you afraid of? The Sudarshan Chakra, the lethal spinning disc of the Supreme Lord that protects the Vaishnavas at all times from every danger, is here. Just look around you, assail your trepidations, and loudly continue the Krishna Kirtan." The reassuring words from the Lord had a miraculous effect on the devotees, and they began to sing with renewed gusto. Utilizing this exigent situation, the Lord gave instructions to the devotees. The Sudarshan Chakra is always present to protect the devotees of the Lord. Sudarshan immediately scorches and destroys any inimical and atheistic forces that try to harass the devotees. If the Vaishnava devotees have such an invincible protector as Sri Vishnu's own weapon, then who could possibly harm them? Thus, Sri Gaurasundar constantly instructed his followers on esoteric truths. Only those who have received the Lord's mercy can fathom the meaning of these confidential instructions. The devotees performed kirtan the entire way, and soon the boat reached Orissa, stopping at the river port called Prayagghat, where Sri Chaitanya landed from the boat. Reception of this narration of Sri Gaurasundar entering Orissa accelerates the process of reaching spiritual protection, and all who hear are sure to swim in the nectar of Prema Ras. The Lord was extremely joyful upon setting his lotus feet upon the soil of Orissa. He offered his obeisance to the holy land of Utkala, and the devotees did the same. In that area there is a well-known bathing ghat called Ganga Ghat. The Lord took his bath there and later went to offer obeisances to the nearby Shiva Linga. The nearby Shiva Linga deity known as Mahesh, which had been established right next to the bathing place by King Yudhishthira of the Pandavas. The Lord brought the joyful devotees to a temple and requesting them to wait and rest there, he went away to beg alms. The Lord went door to door with his cloth spread out to receive alms. As he stood before each house, the people were captivated by his magnanimous appearance and immediately gave generously their best foodstuff, rice and vegetables, etc. Whatever was available in the household they gave with great pleasure. Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, also known as Sri Annapurna, the giver of all foodstuff and opulence, is always praying to receive shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. That same Supreme Personality was now knocking on every door in the guise of a sannyasi, begging alms only to benedict the conditioned souls. Feeling content, the Lord returned to the devotees after collecting alms. The devotees were joyful upon seeing what the Lord had collected and said, "Truly, dear Lord, only you can maintain everyone." Jagannath Pandit gladly prepared a wonderful feast to which the Lord and all the devotees sat down. The whole night was passed in the village performing Krishna Kirtan, and at the first light of dawn they were again on the road walking towards Puri. After a few miles, however, the same persons demanding tax and refusing right of way to the devotees unless they paid suddenly stopped them. After a few miles, however, some persons demanding tax and refusing right of way to the devotees unless they paid suddenly stopped them. Yet, when the tax collectors saw the grave and imposing figure of the Lord, they were impressed. They inquired, "How many men are with you?" The Lord replied, "I do not have anyone in this world, and I do not belong to anyone. I am all alone. The entire world is mine." Upon saying this, the Lord began shedding incessant tears, which flowed out in streams. The taxman said, "O Master, you may kindly leave, but I will not release the others until I have received full payment." The Lord left the group of devotees remembering Krishna and chanting his names. The devotees were plunged into an abyss of despondency, thinking that the Lord had left them. However, the devotees, after some consideration, began to laugh at how the Lord had displayed wonderful detachment, but in the next moment they were again despairing, worried that the Lord would leave them altogether. Nityananda Prabhu pacified them, saying, Do not worry, the Lord will not leave us behind." The taxman said, You are not accompanying that sannyasi, so you must pay the proper charges. So, chanting loudly Govinda's name, the Lord had gone just a short distance and sat down with his head hanging down, tears welling out of his eyes. Even a heart of stone would melt seeing the Lord weeping in such an entreating way. The taxman was filled with wonderment. He said, "He is certainly not an ordinary soul. It is impossible for a human being to shed such an excessive amount of tears." Looking again carefully at everyone, he inquired from several devotees, "Tell me clearly who you are. Whose associates are you?" The devotees replied, "That sannyasi is our Chaitanya. That sannyasi is our master. You must have heard of him. His name is Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and we are his servitors." Saying this, the devotees broke down in tears of divine love for the Lord. The taxman was now completely dumbfounded. Being infused by their mood and purified by their association, he also began to cry, tears coursing down his cheeks. The taxman now hastened toward the sitting figure of the Lord and threw himself down on the ground like a rod before the Lord's lotus feet. very humbly said, "My great fortune of seeing you has actually resulted from the pious activities of many millions of lifetimes. Kindly forgive my offenses at your feet, and I pray that you may arrive safely in Nilachala." The Supreme Lord of all living entities, Sri Gaurahari, blessed the taxman with his compassionate glance, chanted the holy name, and restarted his journey. The Supreme Lord has advented as Sri Chaitanya to deliver all living entities, with the exception of those atheistic, sinful reprobates who offend Vaishnavas and commit sins on the strength of the holy name. Those who are inimical towards the Vaishnavas will be deprived of the Lord's mercy. Lord Chaitanya's name is so potent that even the demons have a change of heart by chanting his name and glories. Yet the devilish reprobates do not accept this mercy nor have faith in the power of his name. The Lord of Vaikuntha showered his merciful glance upon everyone as he went on his way to Nilachala. Day and night he was always internally absorbed, drinking deep from the endless nectarine ocean of loving mellows of Lord Krishna. A few days later he arrived on the banks of the river Suvarnareka, finding her waters crystal clear. The Lord and the Vaishnav devotees took their baths in the pellucid river, thus further sanctifying it, and then continued onwards towards their destination. Can you come out here just 1 minute? I wanted to ask you some things. I'll turn off the speaker.
Are we online?
What?
Are we online?
Yeah, we're online. You go back. I'll sing.
Tell me when you're done. I'll be here.
Okay. So, I'm going to sing Hari Haraya. Okay. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Sharavaya Nama Sharavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Jai Gosai Kori Janardan Bandhan Jai Vignana Shami Sapuran Jai Gosai Jar Muri Taradas Sabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas me more abhilash. Jai Gosai Jabe Brache Koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamdas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamdas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charya Ashtatara Sadashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charya Ashtatara Sadashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Prem Se Gosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Vishwavaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Navadip Dham ki jai, Shri Mayapur ki jai, Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Koladvip ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ji ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Vrindaban Dham ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan, Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinan Sankirtan ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.